Diamonds, Dames, and Dads, Part 4. You're in Midnight City, and shit is slightly fucked. No point in drawing it out, honestly. Things are a little too advanced to even bother with a nod toward an introduction. The underground room is still cold, and it still smells like a herd of farm animals died down here. You stand up and rub your wrists. Damn, but that really does take it out of a guy. Being tied up and tortured and such like. But now you're no longer as tied up as you were, because of this wacky bastard next to you. You're really starting to think that you should have taken this guy more seriously from the start. He sails in, lights you a cigarette, bums a drink, and drags you off to find his flighty daughter. You got no idea what he's about, except that apparently he could tear apart restraints with his bare hands, and look good doing it. You appear rendered in a slightly different way than usual. It's got you feeling a bit out of sorts, honestly. What the fuck is up with that? The guy tells you to calm down. Art styles change sometimes. Honestly, this feels comfortable and familiar. You say sure, whatever. But maybe the two of you should get going while the going's good.
He says, "Hold it. There's more important things to worry about right now."
More important than escaping with your necks attached to your bodies? He's not even listening to you, is he? Instead, he's gently pulling your old boss up off the filthy ground where he'd fallen after being kicked in the back of the knee. You'd think he was stomping up a fuss over nothing if you hadn't just watched the brutal application of this stranger's brawn. No doubt Slick's knee is never going to be the same. You ask him what the heck he thinks he's doing. He tells you that it's okay. It's not as bad as he thought it was. You say that from the angle his knee's at, you're not sure you agree. He says that it just needs a little brushing down, maybe a little dry cleaning, and it'll be good as new. He props Slick up and begins enthusiastically slapping the grime off his suit. A little too enthusiastically. You light a cigarette. You ask him where any of those muscles were when the two of you were getting kidnapped. If he can slap a guy through the drywall with a couple of hard pats, he probably could have gotten the two of you down off that roof without too much trouble. Not that you would have enjoyed being carried off like a damsel, but credit where credit's due. He isn't paying attention. He's pulling out a handheld device and typing frantically.
"Darn it,"
the guy says.
"The roaming charges are gonna be killer. What does a man have to do to get a decent signal out here?"
Honestly, he's really got half a mind to call up his service provider when he gets back home and let him know that unless they include reliable inter-universe coverage, he's taking his business elsewhere. For fuck's sake. Well, that's your old boss done for. You can't exactly see where he ended up, but there's not really any type of guy who could stand up against that sort of abuse. Beside you, your friend sheds a single tear at the obliteration of such impeccable tailoring. What a waste. Maybe any other day you would have joined him. You like a properly turned out gentleman as much as the next guy, but right now, this broad's got your full attention.
Hey, assholes.
Your friend looks absolutely aghast at such a wanton display of unladylike behavior. But you know better. She might have the style and she might have the grace, but beneath all that is a stone-cold bitch. In fact, you only know one person you'd say was colder, but you're a little biased when it comes to seeing him as you see him whenever you look in the mirror. Hey, what's the big idea? She says she doesn't know what you mean. You gesture down the road to where Slick's just been forcibly ejected. Didn't the two of you have a thing going on, you ask her? That's definitely not the way to treat a guy. She asks you if you're an expert on the matter. You say touché. She tells you that the two of you have really put your feet in it now. You'd better come with her if you know what's good for you. You tell her that if you knew what was good for you, you would have gotten out of this line of work a long time ago. She says,
You done being snide?
You tell her to take a walk. But your friend here is looking pensive.
"What do you mean? We're in trouble?"
She says the two of you have been fucking the timeline. Seriously. After she went all that trouble of hooking you up with the Slick?
Don't you have any respect for causation?
She drives the three of you downtown and up into a swanky apartment, but the swanky is pretty overwhelmed by the sheer amount of nonsense on the walls. You can't make heads or tails of this.
Listen up, pinheads. This was supposed to go differently, okay? There was a whole intermission section with a series of shenanigans and time dilation, and various guys getting stabbed and shot at least 2 dance sequences, a lot of homoerotic tension, and a flock of errant geese. That was all going to kick off any minute now, except this gent had to go and punch Slick through the goddamn wall. Who does that?
You ask her how she knows any of this garbage. She says it's one of her jobs to make sure the narrative stays on track. That's definitely a thing that's always been true, and was not in no way made up right now as a plot contrivance. Honestly, she's got stories she could tell you.
Have you ever died for the narrative, Buster?
Okay, sure, fine, whatever. So what's the issue here? Why can't you just go back and pick up where you left off? She says...
Well, there's definitely no point in doing that with one of the 3 of you dead.
You point out that Slick was perfectly fine before she came along and committed vehicular manslaughter. Ow, Christ, lady! Okay, let's cut the bullshit. Fast forward to the end. You faceplant into the gravel, your friend beside you. The chain of the handcuffs jingles ominously between your wrists. Hey, what the fuck gives? What's with the bondage? The guy says that she explained that part, to avoid a time paradox. You admit that you hadn't really been listening. Well, in the future, the 2 of you are handcuffed together, so you needed to be handcuffed together in the past, which is actually the present, or you'll do irreparable damage to the future. Got it? Okay. But are the handcuffs really necessary? Your friend has those unlikely muscles underneath the well-tailored suit. He definitely could do a number on these piddling little bits of trash. Your friend says,
Yeah, probably.
Something like this isn't really going to stop him when he really gets going. Not much does, but... What? Come on, man, spit it out. You really don't have time for this, do you? The guy shrugs. It's kind of an unassuming motion for him. He's seemed so self-assured up until now. Hey, buddy, you okay? He tells you he's fine, not to worry. Just he's not bothered by the handcuffs if you aren't. Huh? Just, if he's gotta be handcuffed to someone, there are worse Joes out there, you know? Well, he's got you there. Sure, you say. Why the hell not?